Well, I only had one childhood, so I can't compare it to anyone else's, but I think I had probably one of the best childhoods that anyone could ever wish for, because it was the freedom of being in the bush and doing what you wanted, and safety of a fabulous, loving family, and it was pretty idyllic, We rode horses and we drove sheep, and I learned to work sheepdogs, and I milked a cow from the time I was 8 years old until I was 24. Not continually, because my hands would become very tired, but every morning. Yeah. So that was a skill that you don't get to learn in the city a lot. Yeah, so yes, that was a brilliant childhood, really lovely. Yeah. The closest property to us was, how far away? Probably 5 miles was the closest house to us. Oh, it wasn't lonely at all, because there was all the family, and there was all the family around you. You had to be very careful who you dated or married in our district, because you're probably related to them. Yeah, it's a perfect post-war family, and I'm a young baby boomer, so I think baby boomer officially finishes at 62 or 64, and I was born just before that. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, so I think I just gave myself away there. Yeah, so I'm a very young baby boomer, so yes, I'm the youngest of 4. A lovely girl boy. Very interesting, because it was expected that I would take up one of the properties when I was growing up. I was sent away to a boarding school that specialised in giving your son the skills to run the family property, all that sort of thing. So I was sent away to this boarding school, and I hated it with a passion. And so after that, it wasn't a great success, and I came back home, and I went off to do. I decided I wasn't going to be on the property, so I was going to become an architect. So I started with Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology to do a double degree, architecture and interior design. It was the first time it had been offered. So my father had a heart attack, so I came home. And so I deferred for 3 years, and I never went back. So then I worked on the property until I was 23, and I ran away at 23, so I was a bit of a late developer. And I went and lived in Melbourne, and worked in Melbourne for, I think it was 3 years, 4 years, something like that. And a friend of mine said that you should do this job, and she pulled an article out of the Age newspaper in Melbourne, and it was for an international flight steward, as they were called then, and with a company called Qantas. And I didn't have a passport. I'd never been off the shores of Australia. I'd been out of New South Wales to go to Victoria, but that was it. And she said, should do this. And I went for this interview with this company called Qantas, and they offered me the job 2 weeks later, which I was so amazed. And so I went to work for the International Airline when they were a purely Boeing airline based out of Sydney. I'd been to Sydney once. So then I moved up to Sydney, which was a huge culture shock, because Melbourne and Sydney, I don't know whether they're still so different, but back then they were chalk and cheese. So I worked for Qantas then for 26 and a half years, which is staggering. And so, yes, I'm 42. And then I left Qantas just under 2 years ago, and I went travelling with my sister, and we went off around Europe for an extended period of time, and went to many countries, and fell in love. I knew I'd fall in love with Spain, and fell totally in love with Spain. Spanish people, their way of life and their embracing of life, living in the moment and enjoying where they are and what they have, no matter which strata they're in, which I just loved about them. And I also enjoyed the country a lot. The geography of the country, I thought it was an amazing diversity. I just loved it. So yes, then I set about, when I came back, I spent 2 months trying to figure out how I'd move to Spain. So that was very interesting. And it's quite complex. It's doable, but it's quite complex. And, and then after the 3rd month, I decided maybe it wasn't the best thing to do. And so I concentrated on life back here in Australia. And the most amazing thing that happened to me during that time is that through a contact in Lend-Lease, I was approached to come to a leadership day with Liam Timms and his leadership team at Cockatoo Island. And so I got a call at about 2:30 in the afternoon saying, would you be interested in doing this? We need someone who can take on our learning development stream, and we need them to start next Monday. And it was like, oh, and I was working for another company, and it was 2:30 in the afternoon, and so by 4 o'clock Tony Byrne had called me and said, would I come do this day on Cockatoo Island? So I went and joined them at 8:15 in the morning and got on a water taxi, and off we went and had a whole day with the team, and it was wonderful. Yeah. And so that's 8 months ago now, so I've been lucky enough to be working with a wonderful group of people with a very diverse range of skills and a very broad range of personalities. That includes you, Shane. And and the role has been very varied and interesting, and keeps expanding, which is really wonderful. Without a doubt, it's the people. That's what inspires me to come to work. If it wasn't, you couldn't pay me enough to come to a place that I didn't believe in the people or what they were working for or working towards. So it's definitely the people. So it does help that the views are fantastic. So 3 memories from my Barangaroo journey. I have to say that one of the ones that makes me smile and also makes me a little, no, it makes me smile, and it's also a really happy memory, is that day that we went out and did the leadership day at Cockatoo Island. That was even though it was the first contact, it's a very different first contact that I've had. That it's a very different first contact than others I've had with other groups, organisations, and people. It was a great day. So that was absolutely one of them. I can't go past our Christmas party. I'm sorry. It was fantastic. Yeah, we're not mentioning anything about a swan. And it was a great event. And another wonderful moment, if I had to choose 3, and I have to say it's very hard to choose 3, is the camaraderie of being in the mail room down on basement level 2, because you were in the belly of the beast, how I always thought about it, because this great big building and this massive basement complex, which is 80-something thousand square metres, that's a very big space. And here we were in the middle of it, and seeing everything happening that was going on around, and knowing and being connected, and the noises and the actual atmosphere, and made me feel very connected to the place. And it's also great because when you have a bit of adversity, people either bond or they tend to go the opposite and become antagonistic. Well, this team bonded.